Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first video sermon in the Ingleborough team. We're hoping that this will become a regular feature of the life of our churches now. The team clergy have been giving some thought to how to support and encourage each other during this difficult and uncertain time, and this is one part of that. So I hope you find this a valuable thing. Do check back for other updates and all the other things that will be coming your way and that we'll be publicising over the weeks ahead. If you need any help or support, please do get in touch with any of the clergy in the team. Just give us a call. We're still here for the parishes. We're still here for you. So just get in touch with us and we'll do what we can to help. Well, today's text is from one of the set readings for the day, for Mothering Sunday. It's from Exodus chapter 2, verses 1 to 10. You may like to have a read of it before you watch the sermon, so feel free to hit pause at this point. Well, a lot of the language at the moment is around this idea of social distancing, which can be a bit troubling for us because we're human beings. We need social interaction. We need each other. And in a letter to the clergy recently, our bishop, the Bishop of Leeds, Bishop Nick, said that we should perhaps move on from this language of social distancing and talk rather about physical distancing, because that seems to be necessary at the moment. But remember that we need each other. We can't be isolated from each other completely. We need each other. We need to feel connected, and nobody should ever feel like they are completely isolated. We can't let that happen in these days. So we need each other. And it's at times like this, times of difficulty, that faith in many ways is so much more important. And God's people have faced times of trial and difficulty and suffering throughout the ages. Faith and suffering have often gone together, not quite hand in hand, but alongside one another through so much of both the Bible and throughout Christian history. The story from Exodus is no exception and is a great example of how suffering and faith work together or can be there at the same time. In the story, it was a huge time of uncertainty, of fear. The people of God were facing an enormous pressure. Their neighbours, the Egyptians, had become their oppressors. A huge amount of fear was going on amongst the people of the time. And how did they face it? How did they keep going in that time? Great lessons for us. And I sense some of the similar themes coming out today. When we look around us, when we interact with people in the street, there can be a sense of fear of other people, especially if we feel that we're in one of the vulnerable categories that the government is talking about at this time. You know, we might be afraid that what's going to happen to us because we're speaking to or interacting with other people. Fear is the context of the reading. Fear, in some ways, is the context of the times at the moment. And it's in that context that this reading comes, and we see some signs of hope. Because in the reading, it shows us that God watches over his people. And the way that the value of story is that it shows us how that happens. And it happens on an individual level. God doesn't just watch over us in a general sense, but he watches over individual lives. You get the sense of detail, or that God cares about the people in the situation. It zoomed in on one particular story here in the reading from Exodus. But you get the sense that God knows, God cares. And the good thing is that it's the same God. The same God then, the same God now. The same care and love then, the same care and love now. He's with us. He's watching over us. And that's enormously encouraging. And also this passage shows us something else. God not only watches over us, God helps. And that help is often coming through the little acts of kindness and love and care that human beings can show to one another. In the story, the women really come to the fore, and it's focused on Moses' mother. She is the central figure. Her action is the center of the story, about trying to hide Moses for 3 months at home and then placing him in the basket in the river. And it's around this act of wanting to protect your child, this act of love, that all the drama unfolds in the reading. And it's through these little acts of kindness that God works. That's in the story, and in many ways, that's always the way God works, through acts of love and kindness. And so as we come to celebrate Mothering Sunday, we remember the little acts of kindness and love shown to us by our mothers. We celebrate those acts. We mark them today. We remember them. And we give thanks. And today, as we dwell upon those things, it should encourage us, not only because it makes us feel that we are loved, and that we have been loved, but that we can go on loving. Because in love, those little acts of kindness and love, God is there. God is there. It's been very encouraging in these days to see that the communities have really pulled together. Here in Ingleton, there's been a local support group, an action group set up for anyone who needs things fetching for them, be that groceries or prescriptions, whatever it is, or just needs support. The communities come together really quickly and established something that is beginning to work. It's already working and is beginning to support people in need. And I heard of a Facebook group which was set up earlier in the week, around Monday, and within a few hours it had 300 people linked in, connected with the page. In just a few hours, out of a community of only a couple of thousand people, 300 people were there, right there, saying that they wanted to help, they wanted to be part of this group to support one another. And that's been fantastic to see. But of course, as Christians, we want to absolutely remember that although we might have all the practical help we could ever want in the world, we need something more. We need to keep going. There needs to be something to support us, to encourage us, especially to support us in faith. And that's where a story like this one really comes into its own. God watches over us. God is with us. God helps us. God knows, God cares. Recently, the Archbishop of Canterbury has said this: "For over 2,000 years, we've believed that God shared the pains and fears of our lives in Jesus Christ. That's the foundation of our faith, and it never changes. It never changes." That's something to build on in a time of trial, at a time like this one. We will need to keep going over the weeks and months ahead. We'll need to keep on encouraging each other. I hope that videos like this one will be helpful and will help us to feel that we're connected not just with the church, but with each other, and that to find some sense of encouragement. Indeed, we can find a sense of hope and even, dare I say it, joy in these times. One of the quotes from last year's one of the Lent courses that we did here in Ingleton, the Bible course, one quote that I will never forget. It's not about waiting for the storms of life to pass, but it's about learning how to sing in the rain. The storms of life will come, but God is still with us. We can still have hope. He's there. And He's there especially through these little acts of kindness that we can share with one another. Those are especially important in these times. The way that we do those might be changing. We'll need to be imaginative, creative even. And the good news as well is that the Spirit of God is there with us to equip us, to inspire us, to give us the ideas. I think they're already coming. I'm already hearing the ideas that the people of God have to help us get through these times. And that is enormously encouraging as well. So may God bless us, be with us. May He be with you this week. And remember that God watches over us, God cares, and that through the stories of the past, stories like Moses' mother, we can remember, both give thanks and have hope.